Agud v'chraboisai. Lili nishmas imim rosus v'smordechai. Live from Chicago. Erev Pesach. Shkoyim for coming out. Such a late shear. I know it's tough. Also want to remind the Olam, it just gets tougher, and you should make some time for the daf. And if chas v'shalom, you miss something, you skip forward, and Be'ezer Hashem will meet after Pesach. We'll be holding at the same place. By the way, after Pesach, it's already Ezu Neshech. During the end of Pesach is Ezu Neshech. A lot of fun. Bemis, a lot of good stuff. Because I didn't have that much time after Shabbos, so unfortunately we're not going to do emails. It's also very late. We'll jump right into the sponsors, and from there we'll go into the Yedidas Shas. Not that many this week, and into Gewaldige Daf, very geschmack and short. The Masechta is sponsored by Anonymous for the safe and speedy return of all the hostages. Parnas HaChodesh, Zechrya ben Moshe, Zechus bas Yosef, Parnas HaChodesh. Ahron Fraiman should be zchus to rebellion to continue siyadta dishmaya and teaching Torah to Klal Yisroel. Parnas HaChodesh, Yosef Ben Chaya Sara for the zchusim that come from supporting limud HaTorah. Parnas HaChodesh, Binyomin Rosenfeld for hatzlacha and business and all my endeavours. Parnas HaChodesh for the art. Anonymous for the zchus for an easy childbirth for his daughter and a healthy baby. And by Anonymous, noted. Okay, I don't know what that means. Okay. So Rabbi say it's almost Pesach, so I have a few things about Pesach. And one of them is actually in our sugya, sort of. The question is, why do we eat matzah alone? And then we eat maror alone, and then we eat matzah and maror together. Why don't we just eat matzah and maror together? We can be Yartzeits, the two things. Why do we have to go do this, do that? Just eat the
taste. You don't have them separately.
So what's wrong with that?
Well, the matzah has to eat by itself because it's lachamoni and it's got stuff that have no taste.
I hear.
And maror is also maror is if you got a problem with Pesach, maror also means the rice should have maror also.
Okay, so you're touching upon some stuff. So I hope to address it in middle, not too far. Gufa. We're holding 5 lines from the bottom of Amud Beis, and this is what we're going to be discussing today. This Chizkiah. Omar Chizkiah, Meister Sheni She'ein Boy Shava Pruta. If you have, say, a grape, you want to eat this grape, it's a Meister Sheni grape. Now, you want to redeem this into money and bring it up to Yerushalayim. The problem is, less than a pruta, this is less than a pruta, you can't redeem it. Chizkiah says you could. I have a way to redeem it. How? Meister Sheni She'ein Bo Shava Pruta, Oimer, Hu, V'chumshoy Mechulol, Al Mois Harishoynos. Says Chizkiah as follows. See this dollar bill? I hope I should have used maybe a different color. I didn't deface this. This is actually worth more than $1 now for an MD wire. There's a portion right over here that has nothing on it. You see? No drawing. In other words, a person went and took his Meister Sheni and redeemed it into this dollar bill. I'm using a dollar bill because the Chazon Ish says that today we don't have coins that have inherent value. Their value, the coins are value because the government said it's value. So the same thing with a bill. So I said, oh, okay, so it's easy for me to draw on a bill. This area right over here doesn't have any meiser on it. The meiser he put over here. Why? Because if L'adam When a person redeems the mechalel, his meiser sheni into money, he doesn't go all the way to the end of the dollar. He leaves a little bit. It's meiser sheni. He's very careful. That's exactly why the Gemara brought this chizkiah, to prove that people are careful with meiser sheni. The Gemara agreed with it. So he leaves a little bit at the end that doesn't have a meiser sheni on it. Now that he has a grape, he doesn't know what to do with this grape. He puts the grape right over here on this part of the money that's not mechul yet. There's a little money extra. That's what Chizkiah says. So what comes out? Comes out, I have a way to redeem, to be mechalel this grape on money. Typically, if it was regular money, not drawn up like this, I wouldn't be able to use a half a pruta. What?
It froze for a second.
Okay, the freezing. People later will be able to see it. I'm not permitted to take a half a pruta and be mechalel on a dollar bill. But if the dollar bill was used already for Meister Sheni, I already used it and I left a little bit, then I could use the half a pruta. I could do a half a pruta on the leftover of the money.
Why can't you just use a pruta on that and whatever you're not using, that's the leftover?
I can't. It's also for me to start out with, to use a half a pruta of fruit on money. The only way, according to Chizkiah's Chiddush, Chacham argue, the only way I could, if I have a half a pruta of fruit, what do? I use leftover money in the money that's already mechul. This money is already used for chilul, for Meiser Sheni. I'm going to bring this money up to Yerushalayim. Okay, so there's a little bit left over. I'll use it for my grape. I can't just use a brand new dollar bill for a grape that's worth less than a prut. Says the Gemara, and who v'chumshay, the 25% that I have to add for doing chilul on money, meisvei. Hatruma v'abikurim chayovim aleim misa v'chaymish. So we're learning beautiful halachas here. Person has truma. What's truma? Let's see. Oh, first of all, I didn't do the Yedidas. Let's do it real quickly. Sa b'sa. Everybody remember sa b'sa?
Yeah.
I'm not permitted to borrow a certain measurement of wheat and return that measurement, because what happens if the wheat went up in price? I'm giving ribas or any food. Kinyan agav means that if I buy from someone a piece of karka, could be even a mashu, the size of a needle, I could also, through that, agav that, also acquire metal. And tmura means if I have an animal I set aside for a carbon, I'm not permitted to take another animal and say it's instead of the first one. If I do, both of them are kadosh, both of them have their hegdish, and I'm over iser. For instance, we said if a person tells his wife, his kala, we'll get married on condition I don't have to support you, that's a t'nai in the Torah, and it doesn't work. What else do we have? Do you not see any of these? Oh. Yeah, because I forgot to put it on. That's Tmura, Kinyanagav. So, okay. Let me just make sure we don't have anything else. I think that's it for this week. Okay.
What about the marriage? Wasn't there an opinion that said you could do it because it was money?
Yeah. 2 out of 3. Yeah, I was just giving an example as something in the Torah. Meisvei, atruma v'abikurim. Truma, if somebody has a bunch of fruit, he takes 1-2%, he gives it to the kohen. Truma. Bikurim is this. It's your first fruit. You bring it up to Yerushalayim. So there's a comparison between bikurim and truma, and just like truma, if a Yisrael eats truma, is chayev misa b'dei shamayim. So too, if Yisrael eats bikurim, is chayev misa b'dei shamayim. V'chaymesh. And when you eat this truma bikurim, you're chayiv. If you do b'shoigeg, you're chayiv 25%. V'asurim l'zarim. So Rashi right away asks you just said it's also okay. It comes to for the end of the sugya to make a difference between that and meiser shein. Vehein nichsei kohen. Truma and bikurim belong to the kohen rather to shamayim. In other words, if I'm a kohen and I have bikurim, I could use the bikurim for kiddushin, to give to a woman and be mekadosh her. But if I have meiser sheini, I can't give it to a woman and say, hey, take this pound of apples and become my wife. Doesn't work. On truma it does. It becomes the kohen. We're trying to make a comparison between truma and bikurim and meiser sheini. The differences. Bikurim and truma, yechayiv misa, b'lei shamayim, if you eat it, if Yisrael eats it, meiser sheini not. V'einich zikayin, meiser sheini not. V'oilim be'echad memeh. Okay, this is the point that we want to talk about. See? This is truma. We know what truma is. Okay. Let's just go for a second to the next thing. So first of all, here. V'ish ki yochal kodesh bishgaga v'yasef chamishi soy olav. Okay, it says in the pasuk you have to add 25%. Let's see. No, not that one. I'm looking for something else. Oh, here we go. Let's say you have 100 fruit that are chulin. Okay, it's in the marketplace. It's for everybody. Walks a person with bikurim, and look at what happens. That pomegranate fell into the pile. It would take 100 to 1 for a total of 101. 100 chulin to 1 truma to 1 bikurim to be mevatel, to say, okay, now I can eat the whole pile. Let's say this pile only had 80 pomegranates. You would not be able to eat the entire pile. It's not bottle. I was thinking when I'm learning this idea of mea ve'echad, perhaps just a thought throwing out there. I'm thinking aloud here. It says in the Gemara that you should learn each Gemara 101 times. Not 100, 101. So it's possible, I'm just throwing it out there. This idea that you learn Torah 101 times, the 100 is mevatel. The 100 times the Torah could be mevatel bad stuff that we do. Bad thoughts, whatever. I'm just throwing it out there. Take it as you want. This idea of bittul b'roiv 100, 101. And mea ve'echad is mea, okay, fine. Utunim rechitzas yodayim. Beautiful. Mamish erev Pesach. This is the halacha we all know. The one time a year that everybody washes their hands for eating vegetables. Why? Why do we wash our hands? Because it's wet. According to the Vilna Gaon, you make a bracha when you eat a wet grape. Everybody holds. I don't know if the Olam knows. If you eat a wet grape, you have to wash your hands. It's not only for hamaitzi. If fruit is wet, you have to wash your hand. But according to the Vilna Gaon, you make a bracha on the Yosef. So when everybody says you wash your hands and you don't make a bracha, us grunics, we do make a bracha. Okay, just throwing it out there.
A lot of people don't make a bracha during the year. It's close to Europe during the year also.
Yeah. Saying yeah. But people should watch.
Oh, you make a bracha during the year also?
Yeah. But people should wash their hands. They should know to wash their hands if you're.
The same thing.
Truma. The whole idea is truma. Over here, we're not even talking about wet fruit. We're talking about dry fruit. So it's not only do you wash your hands for bread like we do today, but it's also on fruit that is truma. Again, because if it's this is the idea of that washing your hands, you can be matam with the fruit, so you wash your hands. Ve'erev shemesh. The halacha is that a kohen that was tamei and he's toivel, he goes to the mikvah, he should not eat truma and bikurim until sundown. Says the Brayso, Harei elu betruma bikurim. All these halachas we just mentioned are only in Truma and Bikurim. Mashe ein kein ben Meiser. When it comes to Meiser, so let me show you a better version of what I showed on Friday. Here goes. We're trying to improve this. We're trying to make things more animated now. Here's a guy that doesn't want to take his pile of Meiser Sheni. There's too much to bring to Yerushalayim. So what does he do? He exchanges the Gedusha of the fruit into money. And then he goes and he buys, with the money in Yerushalayim, he buys fruit. Adding fifth, yeah. Interesting that when do we give Meiser Sheni? Years 1, 2, 4, and 5. Taisa says, and I mentioned it just recently, that Meiser Sheni brings Yerushalayim to the family. You send somebody up to Yerushalayim, he stays in for a long time, he learns a lot of Torah, becomes a Talmid Chacham, the whole thing. So what happened to years 3 and 6? You don't need that Yerushalayim. Why do we do Meiser Ani instead of Meiser Sheni in years 3 and 6? If it's so important. The answer is to teach us that Adarabah, just like your Ruchni is very important, to give to somebody else is also just as important. To help somebody out, to give him food is also just important. The Ramah starts talking again about Hilchos Pesach. The Ramah starts Hilchos Pesach with Mois Chitim, giving tzedakah. That's not the chumras of what you should do in the Seder, but how do you give to another? Zog the Gemara. Masha'en kebe Meiser Sheni doesn't have all these halachas. What's one of the halachas we just learned? 100 to 1. One piece of truma into a pile of 100, which equals how much? 101. That's how you mevatel. How are you typically mevatel the rest of the Torah? Roiv. 2 to 1 should be fine. 1.5 to 1 is also fine. Now, Masha'enkim and Meiser, that what? There's no bittul in 101. La mechlal da Meiser batal beruba. What? There's 2 ways to make a diuk here. It says truma, the way you cancel out truma, the way you're able to eat truma. If this grape is truma, how can I eat it? If it falls into a pile of 100 other grapes and it's truma, I could eat it. But Meiser Sheni not. Meiser Sheni not what? Let's think for a second. There's 2 knots. Either Meiser Sheni doesn't use the 100 to 1 formula, but it's another formula. It's 51%. In other words, you need 1 grape. This will be bottled in these 3. Okay, that's pot. Right. You don't need 100 grapes, you need 2 grapes. Or, what's the other option? No bittul at all. 0 bittul. You can't be mevatel.
What about batal b'shisha? Why is that?
No, that's not a thing here. So, says the Gemara, Ve'im Isa the Chizkiya. But if Chizkiya is right, what does Chizkiya say? I have a way to be mevatel a little grape that's not worth a pruta. How? By using money that I already used to be mechal other Meiser Sheni, and use the leftover part, this portion right over here. We must be talking about what case, Rabbi Isai, what case in the world do I have that I need to use bittul for Meiser Sheni? Think about it. When do I want to cancel Meiser Sheni? When it is tamei, but I can't eat it, and it's not worth a pruta. Because anything else, I don't need a mevatel. If it's not tamei, I could be mechal on anything else. Why do I have to ever be mevatel a piece of Meiser Sheni? Bring it to Yerushalayim, eat it. Oh, I can't eat it. You know why? Because it's tamei. Or the other thing is, what if it's a tiny little grape? It's a tiny little grape. I have no way to do Meiser Sheni on it because it's less than a pruta, and less than a pruta I can't do Meiser Sheni. So now I'm stuck. But if it falls into a roiv, then I could eat it. But according to Chizkiah, I have a way out. If Chizkiah is right, I should use the extra money that is left over in a bill, in a coin that I used for Meiser Sheni. Interesting story about this bill, because people use that till this very day. In Eretz Yisrael, there's something called Pruta Chamura. That's how they do Meiser Sheni. When you have different foods and you want to take Trumas, Meiser Sheni, you use it on coins. Now, there's a story I once heard that somebody came to Reb Chaim Kanievsky and said, I have this Sarah, whatever. So Reb Chaim Kanievsky said, be more makbid on Trumas and Meisers. That actually happened to a guy I know very well. Yitzhak Huri's brother, the guy that didn't have children for 22 years, his brother didn't have children for 18 years. He went to Reb Chaim Kanievsky, and Reb Chaim Kanievsky told him, be makbid on Trumas and Meisers. He says, I am. No, be makbid. So then he found out that the story buys from, they never took Trumas and Meisers, they lied, blah, blah, blah. Similar story, guy goes, Reb Chaim Kanievsky says, be makbid on Trumas and Meisers. Turns out, he says, I am makbid. No. He was using, to have a, what is it called? A subscription. You pay this company money, and they take care of the coins for you. And you could take your Trumas and Meisers, and every time you buy food, say, okay, it's on my subscription. They have coins. They do this. You know, some of these coins, they take partial, and they leave some, whatever they do. So it turns out that the guy was using his father-in-law's subscription, and they're makbid that you can't give it out to people. It's per person. That's what he decided, that's what Reb Chaim Kanievsky meant.
What would happen if you took your food to Yerushalayim and you did not redeem it, and then you want to eat it, and there's some of it's rotten, and you can't eat it, or it's tumah, let's say, you can't eat it.
We're going to see soon about tumah, what you can do with it, not do with it. So it says like this. This concept of Chizkiah says that you can take this, half a pruta grape, and put it into the money and redeem it like that. That means I have a way out. Anytime you have a way out, you cannot use the concept of bittul b'roiv. There is no bittul in 101. I'll give you an example. Chadash is a perfect example. Chadash, the new wheat that just grew before Pesach, is also to eat mid'oraisa. Let's say this is the Oraisa. So now I have a pizza pie that got mixed in with 101 other pizza pies. It got mixed in with a roiv, 3 other pizza pies. I'm saying even 100 pizza pies. It's usher to eat that pizza pie. Why? Because wait until after Pesach. Sell it, wait until after Pesach. Anything that's chadash is yesh l'matirim. If I could make it beheter. Here's another example. 2 guys come to a rabbi on Shabbos. They have 2 platters of meat. The rabbi, he tells the rabbi, look, I have a problem. One of the pieces of meat in this platter is pork. Fell into my chomp. What should I do? This platter, I cooked it on Shabbos. It was cooked on Shabbos. What should I do? The answer is that the platter with the chazer is batal b'roiv, but the platter of the Shabbos you can't eat now because it's no material. You have to wait until after Shabbos. You could eat it, but after Shabbos. If it wasn't amazing, the whole, So this is the idea of something that you could use with a heter. You cannot use a bittul b'roiv right now. Therefore, you understand the Gemara's kasha? If Chizkiah is correct, that you can use this dollar bill to save this small grape, then how in the world are you trying to save this grape by combining it, by saying, oh, it fell into a mixture. Here, look, it fell in with the other grapes. I don't know which one. They all look the same. They're all green. One of them is a Meiser Sheni grape, and I'm allowed to eat these 4 grapes because it's batal b'roiv. No, it's not batal b'roiv. Because anytime I could save it in another way, like adding it to this bill, then I can't use bittul b'roiv. So why are you telling me that Meiser Sheni is batal b'roiv? You said Meiser Sheni is not like Truma. Truma is batal b'roiv with 101, and Meiser Sheni is batal b'roiv, literally arrived, the majority. Says the Gemara, okay, let me try to crawl my way out of this question. Perhaps. Who told you to make that diuk and say, oh, Meiser is different than Truma. Truma needs 101, but Meiser only needs Roiv. Maybe it means Dilma. I told you before, there's two options. Dilma loy bata klal, maybe there's zero bittul b'roiv. And that's how I get out of this question. Loy motzasam rasachi, that's impossible to say. I'm trying to tell you that Truma is more chomer than Meiser Sheni, not less. I'm telling you that Truma needs 100 pomegranates to one. So it's not fair to say, oh, and Meiser Sheni, even 100 doesn't work. Fakert, I'm trying to say how Truma is more chomer than Meiser Sheni. But you telling me that Meiser Sheni can never be batal, that means Meiser Sheni is more chomer than Truma. I'm giving you a list of things that Truma is more severe than Meiser Sheni, not less severe. Says Gemara, that's not true. And on one hand, we're saying that Truma is less severe because Truma is actually the belonging of the Kayan. He can be Mekadosh Shalom with it, where Meiser Sheni you can. So here I have an example of Meiser Sheni being less severe. Nevertheless, the Gemara says, that I have a Mefurusha Raisa. It says, Meiser Sheni, Batal B'Roiv, finished. Meiser Sheni is Batal B'Ruba. Mela what? Now I come back to the question. How in the world is Meiser Sheni Batal in 3 grapes? This grape is Batal in these 3. I could use Chizki's trick and put it on money. Here, we should show it actually. You can find it. Oh. It's a concept in the Shas. Anything I could do it better, I cannot use Roiv. Says the Gemara. Meiser Sheni is batal b'roiv. How? When it's a grape or something that doesn't have a pruta's worth. Or another case, and the Gemara later is going to say it's actually one case. But right now we're counting it as 2 cases. This grape went into Yerushalayim and came out. That you can never redeem and can never eat. You can't eat it because it's outside Yerushalayim. You can't redeem it because it's already in Yerushalayim. Once food is in Yerushalayim, you can't redeem. And the fact that it came out, it doesn't help us. Says the Gemara, if Chizki is right that I could take the small grape and put it on this money that I have, so let him just do like Chizki said, and it should become mechulal on this money. Says the Gemara, we're talking about a guy that doesn't have this dollar bill that has a little bit of left over. I have a situation, a guy has a half a grape, it's worth less than a pruta, and he doesn't have this, so it doesn't work. So let him bring other grapes here. I'll bring 3 more grapes and this. Now you have a pruta, and now I'll put up. So Gemara could have really answered, but he doesn't have 3 more grapes. Okay, whatever. But let's say this grape that fell into a mixture of other grapes is already a derabanan. Why is it derabanan? Let me see if I can find it here. Oh, because the famous pasuk Achri Rabim Lahatos Midoiraisa, this grape inside 3 grapes doesn't even have to be 3, but just to make it nice because that's what I have. This becomes batal b'roiv. It says in the pasuk Achri Rabim Lahatos, you go after the majority. Just what? Midrabanan, it's not. Okay, so that's the derabanan. This grape is chayiv and meiser sheni only midrabanan, because midoraisa it's already batal b'roiv. So Mela, I cannot take this grape that's the derabanan, chayiv derabanan, and add it to other grapes that are the chayiv deraisa of meiser sheni. Loy mitzarfim. Now going back to my original question, all the way in the beginning, I asked you, how come you don't eat matzah together with mar in one sandwich and finished? Why the wife always says, she complains, they eat mar again, another kazayas, just do it in one shot. The answer is, Abi started talking about this. That matzah is the deraisa, morer is the rabbanon, bismanazah. And memela, you're not allowed to combine the two things together. You don't want to have the taste of the rabbanon together with the deraisa. You want to have a complete salad deraisa. So then you eat morer. So why don't you do the minhag of Hillel? So just do the mar together with matzah then, because then mar is the rabbanon and Hillel is only a minhag. You don't want to ruin the rabbanon with a minhag. So mainly you do matzah alone, you do mar alone, and afterwards you do the minhag together. Something it's similar to, I'm throwing it in there because the rice and the rabbanon don't go together. Lo even start. What? Mar is the rabbanon. Yeah. Just as a side note, it's very geschmack to remember this, that every time you eat matzah, especially according to the Dulin Gaon, but just have in mind that you're mikayim a mitzvah deraisa. It's the only time that when you eat, is manazeh, you eat something that you can mikayim a deraisa like that. You're not eating the sukkah. No, he's saying eating whatever you do in the sukkah, yeah. But here, in the food, it's deraisa. But according to the Dulin Gaon, when you eat matzah on chalamayid, it's also, you can mikayim the deraisa. Says the Gemara, the Gemara doesn't give up. It's a very interesting Gemara. We have very cool things that the Gemara comes up here. V'neisi demai. What's demai? Demai. Oh, Rabbi Yisai, check this out.
What is it?
Demai is from Amaritz. So I haven't said this in a very long time, and there's new guys this year, and I'm in Chicago. So I'll tell you. Many years ago, when I was giving shir here in Chicago, in that das, I gave shir over there for 8 years. And I say this all the time, I only had 5 people for 8 years. And I was the same Eli Stefansky, just I prepared a lot less. So, a guy comes over to me, not from the shir, and he tells me, I don't understand something. Why does your Gemara have Nekudas? Which I use today. I use Nekudas till this very day. Which brings to another thought, that Ari Haas, that his name is on Darin Kodesh downstairs, he donated $30,000 of Gemaras to MDY, Masechtas Makkos, because his goal is to get this Gemara on Art Scroll. He wants every Art Scroll to have this Gemara with Nekudas. He says, people struggle with the Hebrew. They're already using an Art Scroll because they don't understand Pshat, so they don't know how to read. Let them at least have Nekudas. And I always say that my Siddur has Nekudas and so does yours. And my Chumash has Nekudas and so does yours. And my Mishnah Berurah has Nekudas, so does yours. So why can't my Gemara have Nekudas? I can read without Nekudas. Baruch Hashem, I can read without Nekudas. I enjoy it. And I'm not embarrassed. I use Nekudas. They'll throw me out of yeshiva, fine. This guy comes over and he says, I don't understand something. Bishloma, if you're Amaritz, then I understand why you read with the Nekudas. But you're not Amaritz, you're Talmud Chachams. Like, this guy that doesn't even know how to say Amaritz, he doesn't even know how to say Amaritz. He calls it Amaritz. And he's giving me muster about Nekudas. If he had Nekudas and Amaritz, you know how to read it? So from that day on, it's called Amaritz. Fine. So Amaritz went ahead and he has fruit and he sells fruit. Midrabanan, most Amaritzim, they take Trumas and Meisers. But some Amaratzim don't. So Mamela, we call it Dmai. Domai. What is this? You bought fruit? I don't know. You know what? We say, just to be safe, go ahead and be mafresh Trumas and Meisers. So therefore, Dmai is only a chiyuv, the Rabbanah. This grape that fell into a pile and we don't know what it is his chiyuv of Meiser Sheni is the Rabbanan. Take 2 Rabbanans and put them together. No, now I have to be careful because maybe if I allow that, he'll come to do it without the Mai, with a Vada, and then the Vada is the Deraisa, and the one that's mixed in is the Rabbanan, and the Rabbanan and the Deraisa don't mix. Ask the Gemara, V'neisi shtei prutos. Oh, So actually, I think Yoshi did something here. Let me just find it. Okay, here we go. Over here, he's just showing, I guess, that there's a lot of fruit that the guy put onto this. It's this trick. A lot of fruit went onto this matbea, and now you have a little piece of fruit that's less than a pruta. He also wants to add it to that coin. So over here, he's showing that a guy used 2 coins. We're saying, why did he use 2 coins? Take 1 coin and be mechalel. You cannot be mechalel a grape that's worth less than a pruta on a coin. Okay, so what you do is you take a bunch of stuff and you mechal it on 2 prutas. 1.5 will become a chulul. Now you're going to have a half left over. Basically, start over. Chizki is ideal. And then you'll have the half left over, which you see on this thing, and then you use it for this grape that got mixed up. Again, you have 2 prutas. Take fruit that's worth 1.5 prutas and be mechal. So now I have the half of the one that has the dotted line. 1/2 of it is available. It's not mechulul. You didn't use it on fruit. So with that half of pruta, use it on your fruit that you don't know what to do with. This guy.
Why is that different than just having the 1 coin and splitting it?
Oh, the Gemara is going to ask that. You could do that also. So the Gemara says, hold on a second. So the Gemara says this doesn't work. Why does this not work? Sorry. Bring 2 and use 1.5. Whatever's left over, be mechalel that grape on the leftover pruta. Says the Gemara, it doesn't work. When you try to be mechalel 1.5 prutas of fruit onto 2 coins, it does not work. Why? Loi pruta tafsa pruta. The 1 pruta will work. V'chati pruta loi tafsa. You can never put a half of a grape on the other pruta. So what if you use other fruit but that other fruit doesn't count because that goes on pruta number 1. Pruta number 2, you're trying to be mechal, half of it doesn't work. However, obviously it does work on 1 coin. In other words, if I have a bunch of fruit, I don't have to fill up the coin. I'm allowed to do half a coin. That works. But for the half a pruta, it doesn't work. Sorry. So now I have the leftover in this picture. I have this piece of pomegranate. That's a doiraisa, but it's only worth half a pruta. Together with my grape that fell into the mixture, that's another half a pruta. The problem is my grape is the rabbanon. Why is it the rabbanon again? Let's remind Olam. Because this should be batal b'roiv. Rabbanon said it's not. Okay, so it's the rabbanon grape together with the deraisa pomegranate. They don't go together. With the rice with rabbanon, let me start. As the Gemara, that's basically what he was asking. I think v'neisi yiser, bring a larger coin and be mechalel 3 pieces of pomegranate on a large coin, and you're going to have a little bit of the coin left over. The coin is worth at least $10, let's say, and the pomegranates over here are not worth $10. And then you're going to have left over in that coin for this nebuch grape. Says Gemara, if I allow you to do that lechatchila, you can do that in the regular world when you have a bunch of fruit, but not in the case where you want to get rid of this half a pruta grape. Why? Because if I allow you to use a large coin, tomorrow you'll use 2 prutas to do the same thing. And 2 prutas we just established doesn't work. So Mela doesn't work on a large coin. Next sugya, Rabbi said. We mentioned that if this grape goes into Yerushalayim and comes out of Yerushalayim, you can't do anything with it. I said, Gemara, why not? Go back into Yerushalayim, eat in Yerushalayim. So what if it came out? We're talking about it became Tameh. And so what? Let's just show the pasuk real quickly, if I can find it. Here we go. Okay, Ma'aser Sheni you cannot eat when it's Tameh. That's the Gemara of V'nifrkei. All your questions, you see all your questions on the Gemara. V'nifrkei, let him redeem the Tameh Ma'aser Sheni. How do I know, according to Reb Elazar, that you can redeem Ma'aser Sheni that became Tameh? Nun Gimel Amud Beis. Afilu b'Yerushalayim. What does that mean? Afilu b'Yerushalayim. Because if I bring a grape or a bunch of grapes into Yerushalayim, they're already in Yerushalayim. Can I redeem them? No. You eat them. You don't redeem them. Redeeming is on the way to Yerushalayim when it's too heavy for you. But if I have Ma'aser Sheni that became Tameh in Yerushalayim, I could redeem it. How do I know? Shenema ki leisucha se'iso, you can't carry it. So the Gemara says, no, the word se'iso doesn't mean carry. I can also learn it. Leisucha se'iso, you can't eat it. Oh, you can't eat it. Shenema be'iso masis b'meispanav. You see the word masis means eating. Oh, sorry. That's it. Before we get to the answer. So you see that I can redeem it. So if it's talking about Tameh, why can't I redeem it? It says Gemara, Elo, Bilekuach, Bekesef, Ma'aser Sheni. We're not talking about the money. We're not talking about the fruit. We're talking about fruit that was bought in Yerushalayim with Ma'aser Sheni money. That you cannot redeem. The turning of the daf is sponsored by Kidnovations in honor of my Uncle Reb Elchanan Pressman and as zchusim Akiva Simcha Ben Feiga, official mitzvah motivators, in honor of the limud for sponsoring Sfarim for the daily linear Talmud learning, and the Gewirtzman brothers, the Yartzeits of my grandfathers, Hachaver Moshe ben Yerachmiel and Rav Eliezer Moshe ben Reb Shema Zatzal. Zog the Gemara. Bilekuach b'Ma'aser Sheni. Says the Gemara, Bilekuach b'Ma'aser Sheni, Nami, Lifrikei, let him redeem the fruit that he bought with the money of Ma'aser Sheni. This is not Bilekuach because Ma'aser Sheni shenitma yipada, something, fruit that was bought. It says Mefurish, fruit that was bought with Ma'aser Sheni money, you can redeem. Says Gemara, no, Reb Yehuda, this goes according to the sheet of Reb Yehuda, Dami cover, you cannot redeem it, you have to bury it. So if you have to bury it, then you should be able to be mevatel this beroiv, because there's nothing you can do with it anymore. Says Gemara, why is it talking about a grape? Tameh. You have to bury it. Went into Yerushalayim, out of Yerushalayim. Even if it didn't go out of Yerushalayim, it's Tameh. And you bought this fruit with Ma'aser Sheni money. Nothing you can do with it. We're talking about this fruit was tar fruit, went into Yerushalayim, out of Yerushalayim. We have it today, situation today. There's no mechitzas in Yerushalayim, meaning there's the churban habayis. So you went into Yerushalayim with Ma'aser Sheni. Here's a question. It's not a question, it's an answer. If there are no walls around Yerushalayim, you cannot eat Ma'aser Sheni. We're talking about this churban. By the way, the walls today, everybody knows, the walls today around Yerushalayim are not the walls. How old are the walls that we have today? About 800 years or so. No, for the made by the Turks, whatever. 800 years old. There are people, by the way, that rent apartments in Yerushalayim, in the old city of Yerushalayim, for a lot of money, so that when Mashiach comes to Yerushalayim, they can eat the carbon Pesach in their apartments. Just don't be that guy that rents an apartment on the second floor. It has to be ground level floor. The only way you can eat the carbon Pesach is on ground level. Just letting you guys know. So don't be the American tourist. I got a good apartment for rent. I have a bedroom for your carbon Pesach. On the 5th floor, we have an elevator. Doesn't work. Huh?
Great view.
Great view, but not good. You're going to be suffering there on your great view. You won't be able to eat the carbon Pesach. You're knocking on your neighbor's door. But the problem is, so what if the wall fell down? Rava says you need a wall for Yerushalayim in order to eat the Meiser Sheni. Mechitza is likloid the Rabbanon. The fact that the wall, that once you go into the wall of Yerushalayim, you're not allowed to, you can't redeem it, you can't do anything with it, that is the Rabbanon halacha. Mechitza is likloid the Rabbanon. And l'chayra, this is not Rava anymore, this is us. V'chigaz Rabbanon kisnu l'mechitzas. Rabbanon wouldn't make a gzeira unless there are mechitzas. If you went in with a grape into Yerushalayim, you came out, no good. But once there are no mechitzas, the mechitzas fell, l'chayra, they're not going to make the gzeira to let you redeem it. Kilazim l'mechitzas, l'chayra Rabbanon. So the Gemara like flew Rabbanon. No, once Rabbanon made the gzeira, they didn't differentiate. Beinis l'mechitzas, beinis l'mechitzas. Says the Gemara another pshat. Ravuna bar Yehuda amar Rav Sheshes. What was the question, Rabbi? So let's do Chazar real quickly because it's a beautiful sugya. If Chizki is right that I could take this grape and put it at the end of my dollar bill, whatever's left over, I redeemed a bunch of fruit and that took up 95% of the bill. But I have 5% that's left over. I could redeem it for my half a pruta grape. If that's true, that means Davei Shesh Matirim. So how in the world do we say that a grape is batal b'roiv? A grape of Meiser Sheni is batal b'roiv when I have a way out of it with the material. Says the Gemara, no, you didn't understand. He never said that. It was actually one statement that what? Meiser Sheni Shem B'Shav Pruta, not that it's batal b'roiv. Meiser Sheni Shem B'Shav Pruta Shenichlas Yerushalayim B'Yatza. It's a different halacha. It's different than what you thought. If this grape that doesn't have a fruit that goes into Yerushalayim and out of Yerushalayim, what's the halacha? And on that, this is very easy because we already said this whole sugya. Amai v'neheder v'nayle v'neichle. What's the problem? It came out of Yerushalayim, so bring it back into Yerushalayim and eat it. The nova mechitzas. The mechitzas fell down. As a gemara v'nifrikei, so redeem it. Homar Rava, because Rava says mechitza lechel l'raisa mechitza likla d'Rabbanan. The fact that you need a mechitza, so what if it fell down? That means you can't eat it anymore, period. But you could redeem it. Why? Because the whole point of the mechitza, once it goes to the mechitza of Yerushalayim, you cannot redeem, is only halach the Rabbanan. We just had this also, right? So we can do it quicker. Rabbanan wouldn't say their halacha when there's no mechitza. Rabbanan did say their halacha when there's no mechitza. So if so, I don't understand something. Why are you telling me a case of a grape that's worth less than a pruta? Tell me the whole case when the grape is worth a pruta. I feel yesh boy nabi. It's like a chiddush. Certainly, if this grape it's worth a lot, you're coming with an expensive pomegranate. You walk into Yerushalayim into the mechitzos, boof! The mechitzos grabbed it. You can't do anything about it. You can't come out. You can't do anything. That's it. You're stuck. But if it's a very shvacha piece of fruit that doesn't have a pruta worth, I would think that the mechitzos, the walls of Yerushalayim, don't absorb it. And that's what we're telling you. Of course, if it has a pruta, you ask me why it doesn't talk about a pruta. Pruta is not a chiddush. Of course, if it's a valuable fruit, the mechitza is going to absorb it. I'm telling you, even if it doesn't have a pruta, you think, oh, the mechitzas ignore it, the walls ignore it. No, it absorbs it, and you can't take it out. Tanarabban. Im goy yigal ish memaismer. We're almost done, Rabbi Stein. Mamish, literally 3 minutes. Im goy yigal ish memaismer. Let's see what time it is. 48. Okay. It says in the pasuk that something that doesn't. This is going back. The truth is, this should have been in the beginning of the sugya, right? Maybe. How do I know that if this grape doesn't have a pruta, I cannot redeem it as Meiser Sheni? Because it says in the pasuk, from his Meiser. Not every time does this work. What work? The redemption of fruit into money. It doesn't work on something that doesn't have a pruta's worth. It doesn't have in it a pruta, Ravasi Omar, ein bechumshay, right? When you redeem fruit, you have to add 25%. So what's enough, Kamino? Here. If I have 3 grapes, each one is worth a quarter of a pruta, let's say. Now,
It's gotta be more, 300, so 30% of a pruta.
I just say 30% of the pruta. Let me see. The point is like this. Forget about these grapes. The point is, what is not worth a pruta? The actual fruit or the 25% that I have to add to the fruit? Sometimes you have, even in this case, let's say you have 25% less than So if each grape is worth 90 cents, okay? Or 90% of a pruta, let's say 90% of a pruta. So the 25%, how much is 25% of, what is it? 180, 360. 360, how much is 25% of 360? 90. So the fifth, the 25% is not a pruta. That's one shita. But the fruit is a pruta. I have 360. I have 3.6 prutas. That's perfect. According to one shita, so let's see again. Ravami Omar ein boy. The fruit doesn't have a pruta. Ravasi Omar ein bechumshoy. The 25% is only 0.9 of a pruta. That's the problem. Even though all the fruit is worth more than a pruta, it's still a problem because the 25% doesn't have a pruta. Okay, same. Rabbi Yochanan and Shlokish are arguing the same thing as Reb Ami and Reb Bas. But I'll ask you a question. We had, right? That's what we said before. That if this grape is not worth a pruta, dayoy. So we're going to focus on this word dayoy. Dayoy means enough. It's enough. That it's enough to take this grape that's not worth a pruta and put it onto this dollar bill that has a little bit left over. Now the Gemara is medayik from the word dayoy. If you're saying that we're talking about the 25% and that doesn't have a pruta, the afagav the bidei isbei, even though the fruit itself has a pruta, kivin the bechum leke, since the 25% doesn't have a pruta, it's enough to throw it onto this bill. The Gemara understands that it was pashut that according to Chizkiah, you could do this trick when the actual fruit is worth less than a pruta. That if it was worth more than a pruta, of course you could do it. But the chiddush is that even when the 25%, no, 25, when it's 25%, that's the next Gemara. When it's 25, okay, it makes sense that we're saying it's even enough when we're talking about the 25%. But if we're talking about the fruit itself, there's no chiddush in that. Kasha. Okay, so the lashon dayoy is actually a kasha. We don't have to do this, but we'll just talk about it for a second because I'm going to repeat it tomorrow. Be'ez Hashem. Yibaylu chumsha milagav or chumsha milabar. That's the famous question. So when you look at a dollar bill, so 20% of a dollar bill is 20 cents. 25% is 25. Do we say when the Torah says chaymish, which is 20%, are we looking at it as 20% of the dollar or 20% of the final amount? The final amount is $1.25. So 20% of that is 25. The bottom line is, milagav and milagabar, are we talking about 20% or 25%? And we always say that in the Gemara language, it's 20%, which in our language means 25%. We'll see it tomorrow, Be'ez Hashem. Rabbi Sai, a great day. Thank you for joining. We'll see you tomorrow at 9 o'clock after Bedikas Chometz. The daf never stops.